What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another Instagram redesign. So today I'm going to be taking a Bayern Munich post and I'm going to be turning it into something, well, a little bit different, but a little bit better as well. So in this series, basically we take designs from big Instagram pages, mainly football so far, and we take their designs and I show you how to make them, just to show you how simple it is and to see sort of what these designers are doing on a day-to-day basis on these massive Instagram pages. So if you are enjoying these, this series, hit the like button, obviously subscribe for more. And yeah, we're going to be doing a Bayern Munich one today. I'll put it up on the screen right now. It's pretty simple. I've got the template and everything for the textures for you to download, so if you download that, the link is in the description below. And once you've downloaded that, let's get straight into the video. So guys, once you've, downloaded the texture pack, you'll be presented with this. So you can turn this off and then you can turn this layer on and this is your template. Realistically, we're going to make a new document and we're going to drag this template in. So it's going to be 2160 by 2700. Click create. And then once you've created that, you can go back to your texture pack and then drag and drop your template in. I'm going to drag and put this in the right position. Now, this is quite a simple one. I've changed it a little bit just to make it look a little bit brighter, a little bit more, nice to actually look at. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So if you turn your template off in your texture pack, you're going to go down to the bottom where there's an image. Now this is an image of Lewandowski. Only difference is with this, he's actually looking at the camera, basically creating that connection with you instead of, a picture of him shooting at a goalie. Obviously they lost this game. I don't really know why I picked a game they lost, but it doesn't happen very often, so I guess it's more unique. So if we turn this one off, let's get the image of him sort of looking a bit serious. We can drag and drop this one in and begin to position it on the right side. I've got it already cut to sort of this side, but what I basically did was just put it in the whole design, then cut this section out. So you can do that as well. If you go into the smart object, it will be there. So, you can play around with that yourself. So what you're going to do, drop it in on the left side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to where we, our texture pack, and we've got some texture, got our logos, and then we've got this full-time text. So we're going to use that a bit later. So you can turn that image off now. So go back to our design, and as you can see, there's a red strip, and then there's a white strip. So we're going to do those strips now. So you're going to get your rectangle tool, which is on the left-hand side, and what you're going to do is select a white fill, and then we're just going to copy the same shape that's already here. So we'll just copy that, and then we'll get our shape, and then we're going to duplicate this shape. Obviously, make sure it's next to the white one, and then we're just going to drag and drop that across. So now we've got two shapes. Now this one's going to be a dark red. So I'm going to go to my rectangle tool, go to where it says fill, click this color blender, and then I'm going to pick this color that I picked out earlier, which is going to be 8B0A21. So I'm going to select that, and then we have our nice little background set up. So what I'm going to do is make this white a little bit bigger just so that it covers the actual edge, because at the moment it's not covering the whole image, and that's just not what we want. So just like that. That's really nice. We've got our template basically set up. So we're going to go back to the texture pack now. This is where we actually add some stuff in. So the full-time text is obviously going to go in the white. So if we drag and drop this in, just going to drag and drop that down the middle. Now I've left it as it is, but if you bring your template to the top, which I always recommend keeping it at the top so you can keep referring back to it. This is all in different languages. I don't really like that. I think it should be one language, and then you should actually do a different design for a different language. It makes totally more sense. So I've just gone, it says somewhere in here final or full-time, so I've literally just gone for full-time along the strip, and then dots in between. So in this folder you'll be able to see that. There's ellipses, which are the circles, and then full-time, which is in a Monster app font. Now if you don't have this font, there'll be a link down below for you to download it and then install it. So that's that. So the next thing we're going to need to do is make these numbers. So obviously we've got the logos, which I'm going to drop in a minute, and then we've got these numbers that we need to make, and then this bit of text down here and here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go back to our texture pack and grab the logo folder. So we'll drag and drop this in, probably put this in the middle of the design, somewhere around there is good. And now we can start making our numbers. So we're going to keep the numbers pretty simple. We're just going to change them to a font which is reasonable, to be honest, because this one that I've got at the moment doesn't really look great for numbers. So if we go and have a look, probably an Anton font looks great. Move this one down a little bit, change it obviously to white. And then what you're going to do is you're going to duplicate this. You don't need to make a new text layer or anything. You're just going to select your one, hold Alt to drag, and then duplicate this down. So like there. And then you're just going to change that to 2. Perfect. And now if we go back to our reference, it's going to be a little rectangle in the middle. So if If you want to zoom in on your template and get your rectangle tool, just drag and drop a new rectangle over the top of it. That should be fine. And then you can see that we've sort of already created that simple, 1-2 or 2-1, sorry, score line in between the logos. So if you want this all aligned, so that obviously it makes sense if they're straight, select your rectangle and then select your logo. So you selected all this 1 and 2 rectangle logo. And then you're going to hit this align tool, so they're all going to be straight. And then you're going to just do a perfect, you're just going to move the 1 over a little bit, because it goes a little bit funny when you use align with a number 1 for some reason. I don't actually know why, but just to keep it simple, just move it along to where you feel that it fits, and then you'll get your perfect result. So the next thing we need to do is obviously add in the text. Now this is going to be little text, 18 Lewandowski, and then 27 Newhouse and Lena. So I'm going to do Lewandowski first, and then I'm going to use that to drag across, basically. So let's just reduce the size of this text a little bit, and then we're going to write Lewandowski. We're going to write 18, and then an apostrophe at the top, and then Lewandowski. And obviously this is going to need to be a lot smaller. So I'm going to zoom in so I can sort of make an accurate selection. And I'm just going to make it smaller. And now you don't want this exactly in line with the logo, but you want it pushed to the side more. So if we push it to the side, lift it up a little bit, and probably around 4 for the text size is good. And then you can zoom out and sort of make sure that it fits the right area and you can still read it easily, which I think it does. So now I'm going to drag and drop this and bring it down to the bottom here. And now as you can see, we're sort of creating that nice little bit of text. Obviously here it's a bit more pushed over, but I like it more to the left. So we've got 27 Newhouse or whatever the name is. So we're going to do that now. 27 apostrophe Newhouse. There we go. And now we can do this again. And this one's going to be 31. And this one's going to be Lena. So now we've got our little text along the side, we can sort of align these as well. So select all of them and then hit your left align button. Now they'll all be straight in line. That looks really good. And what we're going to do, drag those below the template. You can sort of just leave that there for now. So if we refer back to our template, as you can see, we're missing a few things. So we're missing a bit of texture on this red. We're going to miss these stripes as well. So we're going to get the stripes now, and we're just going to overlay them on top. So we don't need to go back to texture pack yet, but we will need that in a bit. So we're going to select our rectangle. We're going to go to our rectangle tool, change color to this light pink. So this light pink is going to be C3213E. So I'm going to turn this off quickly. So just change this one back quickly, and then select our rectangle tool, select a new pink. We don't want to change the color of that one. Can you stop changing the color of that one, please? Right, so now we can draw some new ones. So we're going to drag and drop these. Make sure they're long enough so they go across the whole thing once you rotate them to an angle like that. So make sure they're long enough like that. Then what we can do is move that, move the white rectangle above them, and then make sure that these don't go over the top. And that's perfect. So now what we're going to do is drag and drop these across, holding Alt while you do this as well, just so that you can obviously duplicate them. Otherwise they're not going to duplicate themselves. So make sure you keep holding Alt and just keep going. So that's good. Now what I'm going to do is select all of these rectangles, and then I'm going to hit this align, well, not align tool, but it's spacing tool. So it distributes them accurately, so they've all got accurate spacing. So as you can see, like that. So that's good. We've got our rectangles now, so we can group that together. And now that we've got those overlaid, we can sort of probably change them to a soft light. So if we select the lighter rectangles, we can go through and just see what looks best. So lighter color looks nice, so we can do that and then just reduce it to about 70%. That's good, and then we can leave that now. And now we're going to go back to our texture pack and get some textures. So turn the logo off, turn the full time off. So all we're left with is this texture. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag one across. Now they're already set to multiply, just for, because they're meant to be on multiply. It looks best for this one. And what we're going to do is we're going to clipping mask one to the white rectangle, reduce this one down to about 70%. And obviously, then we need to move this full time, so make sure it's in the center like that. That's fine. So make sure that's in the center, because it just looks funny if it's not. Then we're going to duplicate this paper. So we're going to just right click and duplicate layer. And now that we've got two of these papers, this one's going to be clipping masked to the red rectangle. So as you can see, you can't really see it on the red. So we're going to increase the opacity. You still can't really see it. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this again. So we've got two on the red, just because it's easier to see on the white compared to the red. But if you duplicate it on the red, maybe reduce the opacity down to about 80 for both of them. Now it's got a really nice bit of texture on the red background. So as you can see, this right side really sticks out now. It looks a lot better than it did instead of just being a flat color. So that's why they've added the texture basically. Okay, so we're pretty much there with the actual, you know, score and everything. If we go revert back to this, we can see that they've probably added a little bit of a filter over the top. They've obviously added the logos in and everything, which we've done all this. So only thing now we're going to do is play around with the image. So we can turn that off, not worry about that. We can probably group all the text together. Now what we're going to do is play around with this image. Now as you can see, it's a little bit green. His skin's a little bit green and stuff here, so I don't really like that. So what I'm going to do is add a color balance. So this is going to sort of change, be able to let me change what colors are in the image. So we're going to clip and mask that to it. I'm just going to play around with this pink. So as you can see, green and pink, we're going to want more pink than green, basically. So in the midtones, I'm going to just move it along a little bit. The highlights and the shadows is where it's mainly at. So we're going to go shadows, increase the pink a little bit, and then same with the highlights. Something like that. So now if I zoom out, you can see it just looks a lot more in check with the actual design, but I don't really like how it's making the hair pink. So what I'm going to do is, see, you've got a layer mask here. You're going to get a soft brush, probably about 20% opacity or maybe 30. I'm just going to go back across his hair and sort of paint, you know, paint some of it away, some of this pink that we've just added, because you don't want his whole head to be pink because it looks a bit weird, but something like that looks nice. So you can paint bits back in, but not have the whole head pink because it would just look a little bit weird, if you know what I mean. So we've got our color balance in, that's perfect. Now we're going to add some curves layers. So we're going to add some curves to his eyes just to make them brighter a little bit. So if we do that now, let's add a nice little curves layer to his eyes. And then what we're going to do is get a hard brush, increase the opacity, and we're going to paint back in where his eyes are, just so we can brighten these up. You probably have seen me do this on other designs that I've made, but this is probably a really good tip for anybody. If you want to make the eyes look better and stand out, do this tip. So you want to hit the curves, do that, and then get a hue and saturation layer, reduce the opacity to 0 so it's grey, and then apply the same layer mask you use for the curves onto your hue and saturation. Then you can paint back in your eyes like this. There you go, you got your eyes, but it's also just much whiter, so now you can see it a lot more, so it looks a lot better. So if I turn this off, yeah, you can see it, then turn it back on, it looks so much better. So we've got that done, that's pretty good. One more thing we're going to add now is a dodge and burn. So we're going to add a new layer, just going to clip mask it to it. We're going to go edit, fill, and then 50% grey, and then overlay this on the image. And now we're going to use our dodge and burn tool. So dodge and burn on the left here. So if you select burn first, which is shadows, I do recommend doing burn first just because it's easier. And then we're just going to go in and burn this kit. So obviously you can see it's just making all the shadows a lot darker, and it's just making the whole thing a little bit more dramatic, really. So you can obviously go on his skin, but I wouldn't recommend doing too much on his skin because it does make it go a little bit of a funny color. So do little bits on the skin, I would recommend, and then mainly keep this for the kit. So we've got really nice little bits of texture here. So obviously in the dark bits of his skin do it, but mainly focus on the kit. We'll just go through the middle here. I'm not going to do this too much because I've already done this obviously, but just to give you an idea of what I mean, you can apply it through the middle here, like so. And then obviously the dark areas here on his kit, that's really essential that you do it, because if you do it on dark areas, it just makes it look so much better. Just emphasize all those shadows, and that's really good. So we've got a little bit over here that we could probably do, and then obviously on his arm there, that's good. On his muscle as well, just define his arm muscles a little bit more. All these little things are just what sports designers do to make their images look more dramatic, pretty much. So hopefully you've understood why I've done that. There we go. So if I turn that on and off, yeah, it's just making it look so much better. Now we'll do dodge. So you can go around his skin like here, make it a little bit brighter. Same here, just go down the middle of his arm, make it a little bit brighter. And the kit, you don't really need to do too much on the kit because it's pretty much already quite bright, but obviously around the edges you can. And I do recommend you do the hair. Hair's a good one to make brighter. And his face you can make a little bit brighter as well, but don't go too overboard on the face because it might just look a little bit weird. But as you can see, guys, it's still looking a little bit green here, so I might just go in and tweak the pink a little bit more, especially on the shadows. That's the main area that I'm finding it. That looks a little bit better, so I've made it a little bit darker on the shadows, which in turn has literally made it look so much nicer. So as you can see, this actually looks really nice. So if we go back and have a look at the original, that's the original. And then if you look at this, it just looks so much smoother and so much just, you know, nicer to look at. That's all we need to do for that. Now we're going to go onto the camera raw filter stage. So obviously I'm going to make a screenshot. So Command Shift Option E, and then convert that to a smart object. and then we're going to go straight into camera raw filter. So guys, now we're in camera raw filter. This is where it all comes to life. We're going to go to basic, hit the contrast, boost that up a little bit. Highlights, you want to boost them up. Shadows, reduce them, and then leave the whites and blacks. Texture, probably bring that up to about 20 because obviously we've got a lot of texture on the right side, so we want that to stand out. Clarity, again, bring that up to probably about 16. Dehaze a little bit, and then you can bring the saturation up as well. Vibrance, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but you can as well. As you can see, these shadows looking really intense on the kit, which looks really good. Boost the curves a little bit, and that's good. Sharpening, I'd probably bring that up to about 30. I wouldn't worry about reducing the noise or anything because we're going to add some noise now. Color, you can obviously make this a little bit pinker if you want, but it's already quite pink, so I think it's pretty good like that. Got a lot of texture coming through and a lot of highlights, so I think that's really good. So you can leave this if you want to. Color grading, don't worry about that. Effects, I'm going to probably put a 30 grain on this because I want it quite grainy on the image, and then I'm going to add a slight vignette just in the corners. So basically, guys, that is it. So as you can see, it just makes it look so much cleaner and nicer. I think this edit is 10 times better than the original. So if we have a look at the original, that's the original. I mean, yeah, it's great. If you're just scrolling through Twitter, you're not going to look at it properly, but that is actually going to stand out. Like even the image in the background, it just looks so much better, so much cleaner. So hopefully you have learned something from this Instagram redesign. I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm trying to space them out a little bit so you don't get oversaturated with them, but I've got a lot more ideas coming in the future. So if you have enjoyed, let me know in the comments, and obviously, you know, let me know how you found it. Obviously, hit me up on Instagram, show me your design search, show me what you made from this. I always reply and get back to people, so yeah, if that's something you're interested in, definitely get on to that. But without further ado, guys, I'm just going to leave it there and call it a day. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.